welcome to the Live Courageously podcast show. I'm your host, John Duffy, and Live Courageously has been the conscious theme of my life for the last 4 years since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear. There's something contagious about someone who is courageous. Today's show is with a courageous and talented friend, Michael Broderick. Michael is an American actor. After serving in the Marines with Squadron HMLA 167 from 1986 to 1990, the New Jersey native went to New York City and spent 10 years playing guitar in the never quite dead punk rock scene of Manhattan's Lower East Side. And I lived on the Lower East Side for 2 years, so I know what that is. In 2001, Michael changed gears and began a successful voiceover career, and one of his first gigs was a long run as the voice of Arm & Hammer. In 2004, Michael moved from New York to Los Angeles to pursue acting in film and television, and he booked his first television role on the smash Fox series 24, starring Kiefer Sutherland, and followed that with roles on Justified, FX, NCIS, CBS, and many others. One of Michael's career highlights was playing Special Agent John Bowen in season 3 of HBO's True Detectives alongside two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali. And Michael has recently guest starred on NBC's New Amsterdam and shared the screen with Chris Pratt in the hit series The Terminal List. Great show. And Michael is currently portraying Master Sergeant Danny Patton, the lead role in a stage play, Last Out, Elegy of a Green Beret. Michael is a husband and father and is active in the military veteran space as well, devoting time to several veteran service organizations. He served on the board of directors for the Gallant Few and Veterans in Media and Entertainment, VME. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining me on Live Courageously, man.
Hey, John. Great to see you, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Great to see you as well.
Good.
Well, I know we're in different places. You're not in Los Angeles anymore. You left here and you headed out to Tennessee.
Yeah, we're here in Nashville now. Been here since 2022. So we've been here almost 3 years now.
Very cool, man. Well, you've had a long and very varied life and career. And like I said, besides courageous and adventurous, I like to ask two questions of my guests. And the first is, most of the people I know personally who come on the show, not everybody, but most of them. The first question is, how did we meet, if you remember?
It's got to be through VME, Veterans in Media and Entertainment. Probably at one of the meetings at the American Legion Hall.
It might have been earlier than that. I'm going to throw up a picture, and I'm not sure myself too, but I'm going to throw a picture up and see if you remember this.
Okay.
And this is a picture at
crap! That's right, John. Holy mackerel!
This is in Coronado at Navy SEAL Base. That's the picture I threw up. And there's about 5 of us trying to lift this big wood, whatever you call it. I don't
Wait,
even know.
John, put that back up for a second. Put that back up for a second.
Back up, man.
In the front, closest to the camera, that's Army Hammer. Then that's you. There's a stuntman by the name of Buddy Saucestand. There's me. I forget the fella's name in the back. Wow, I totally forgot about that, John. Yeah, we knew each other. We had some mutual friends.
So Vernon Mortensen was the one who got us that tour, and he was in SWCC. He served in SWCC, and he was also in the film industry, and still is, and still a dear friend. But yeah, he took us on that tour of the SEAL base, which was a great experience. So
that's right. You know what? Forgive me, man. I'd forgotten we'd known each other that long.
I know, right? It's just like, God, for you, it's not as bad, but for me, I'm like, God, am I getting old, man? But and then we went on to do some other things. And this is another thing that we did together. I'm throwing up. It's called The Flag.
Yeah.
And your name is on the DVD box.
And this was all before VME. You're right. Everything kind of blends together after a while. But
yes, it does.
You're right.
And on that one, I directed it for a Army veteran of mine, Dave Alspach. It was his project, and I directed it, and I did 2 pieces, and I interviewed you about what the flag meant to you. And, you shared your experiences, and I forget exactly what you spoke about, but you did some historical stuff on what the flag meant and the importance of it. And that was part of that. And so we met there. And then, of course, then you went into VFT, which then eventually came via me.
Right.
So yeah, so it's been a long time, man. I think I even got a picture of. Let me see if I got a picture of you with your VMT. Yeah, we go. There's your VFT shirt on.
Yeah, that's when I was in a pistol competition out at the Bianchi Cup, which is like a professional shooters weekend tournament, and they invited me out because like I'm one of the few celebrities that's like pro Second Amendment, so they're like I never heard of him, but he's pro Second Amendment, so we'll bring him out. They brought me out, and I shot in the pro-am, the pro, where the pros and amateurs shoot together. And I'm sad to say that I got knocked out in the first round. However, I will say that the guy who knocked me out went on to win the whole thing. So,
well, at least you can feel good about that. That's cool. Well,
I was just his first victim that day. That's all.
Very cool. Well, let's jump back to not the beginning, but you grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in New York, so we're both East Coasters. Just across the whatever you say, the bridge, or across the tunnel, or whichever way you get from New York to New Jersey.
Yeah, bro. Your accent brings me right back, man. I feel like I'm home. I love it.
Yeah, I always say, people nowadays, a lot of people for some reason say they think I have a Boston accent. And so my story now is I moved to California and my accent moved to Boston. I'm trying to get it back. So, but
yeah. I grew up in a little town called Spring Lake down the Jersey Shore, down by Asbury Park. I grew up like 3 blocks from the beach, if that. So yeah, I grew up. It was a great time to be a kid. I'm a Gen Xer. We were kind of latchkey kids. And I spent all my time out of doors, summer, winter, it didn't matter. We'd be playing football down at the park, or we'd be at the beach, or we'd be riding our bikes 5 towns over to go to the $2 matinee or whatever. It was just a great place to grow up. Great time. And I really enjoyed it. That's when I started doing theater at the Spring Lake Community Theater there. And, that's when I kind of really fell in love with acting.
So you were acting before you decided to make the decision to join the Marines. And here's a picture I'm going to throw up of you.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to take you back to your Marine Corps outfit a long time ago.
Does that kid's mother know he's a Marine?
So what made you're studying acting, and then what made you make the decision to join the Marine Corps? I mean, join the military, and then specifically the Marine Corps?
Well, I'll remind you of when you interviewed me for that thing, The Flag, because it does kind of come back to what I spoke about, if I remember correctly, in that interview. And that was, I was about 15 or 16, and just one time in front of a Yankee game where they're doing the national anthem, I just really listened to it, and I realized that it ends in a question, and I'd never considered that before. It's "Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?" So over the next several weeks, whatever, I don't remember how long it was, I would think about that. And, I thought about, well, no, nobody's replaced our flag with their own. Is it still the land of the free, the home of the brave? Now this was the Reagan era, a lot of American pride. And I came to understand that, it doesn't stay up there by itself, right? There are men and women that sacrifice and volunteer to do that. So that's when I kind of started thinking about joining the military. And then I chose the Marine Corps just to freak everyone out, because I was like, I was like 5'10", like 130 pounds. And I was a little beanpole, and I was a joker. So I was like, how could I really freak my friends out? I'm going to join the Marines. So I signed up for the delayed entry program in like November of my senior year of high school. As soon as I turned 17, I turned 17 in October, and I had to get my parents to sign me up, and my dad wasn't too keen on me going in. Not that he didn't care for the military. I think he didn't think I'd be able to hack it, and he tried to he tried to talk me out of it. He goes, he's like, John Wayne fought in every American war, and he never once joined the military because he knew I wanted to be an actor, So, and then he said, he's telling me like, oh, your uncle knows this guy at NBC. He's like, what if I told you I could have you on TV in a year? I'm like, Dad, you can't promise that, So I had to convince them to sign me up because I was only 17. And then, I graduated in June. And since I grew up on the shore, I didn't go in until October. Like I got to see all my friends off to college, not October, September. And I turned 18 while in boot camp in October of that year, 86. So, yeah, man, it was just, I wanted to hold on to the Jersey Shore life as long as I could there before I finally kicked off,
Jersey Shore boy. When you joined the Marines, where did you serve? Where did you do boot camp at?
I did boot at Paris Island.
Paris.
And then I went to school, MOS school at Little Creek Amphib Base near Norfolk, and for logistics and embarkation. And then I was attached to HMLA 167, which is Marine Light / Attack Helicopter Squadrons, Hueys and Cobras, part of MAG 26 at MCAS New River in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is part of that whole complex of bases there wrapped around Camp Lejeune.
And what would you say, the 4 years that you spent in the Marine Corps, what would you say your biggest takeaways or your biggest, the things that you gained from it that kind of like you carry with you for a lifetime?
Well, the biggest thing for sure was just the fact that, whatever I set my will to, I can accomplish. It's really just a matter of bending your will to it. Now, sometimes, I'm sure my wife will tell you, sometimes that's where I slag off a little. Like, how about you bend the will to taking the garbage out? So, but if it's something I really want, I can do it. That's why I wasn't dissuaded when I decided to change careers several times.
Where you had that commitment, because going through boot camp, I did some training videos. My first experience with the Marine Corps was as a civilian doing some training videos for the Marine Corps down in Pendleton, and then also the OCS program down in DC. But just watching, we saw them come and get off the bus. We're filming, and all these young men, getting off and doing on the yellow footsteps and being screamed at by the drill instructor. And like you said, you were a small guy, and most of them were small. And I kind of had a vision of Hollywood, the military. And now I'm watching these young guys, and I'm going, oh my God, man, this is tough. And then, watching them graduate and seeing how they changed from the minute they came off the bus to the graduation, and you just saw a different person. And that really impressed me. And that kind of got me to get into contributing as a civilian supporter of veterans in Hollywood, because I was just so impressed by particularly the leadership and the transformation that Marines go through.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll share something with you. I had a little bit of an unorthodox experience at boot camp because the four guys that were heading out of the MEPS, or I forget what it's called, Military Enlistment Program, whatever, where you go before you go to boot camp and they ship you out from there. There were like four of us going to Paris Island, and we missed our connection flight. Like, our plane was late and we didn't get our connection flight down to South Carolina. So we didn't go on the big bus with everybody where they yell at you and, you all got to run out and get on the yellow footprints. We got like a chartered van that kind of brought us onto base. And then we pull up in front of receiving, and there's a drill instructor comes out, and he's like, he comes up to the passenger window to the driver's like, hey, what's going on, buddy? And he's like, and the driver's like, I got some guys. And all of a sudden he's like, he puts his helmet, he puts his, his smoky on. He's like, all right, get off the bus. I was like, oh, this is all bullshit. I was like, oh, it's an act. Like I saw him walk out.
He goes into performance mode,
exactly.
right?
He walked out like a regular dude, so it kind of took some of the mystique away for me. And, I just knew you got to hit your mark and know your lines, right? So
the performance they put on, I tell you, is intimidating.
Sure.
I mean, not only just watching it, like as an outsider, I'm intimidated by it. I mean, they put on a hell of a intimidating performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, you have to endure. It's still hard. It's still a hard slog, especially for, I was a smaller guy, so
Sure.
Physical stuff was challenging. And, I put on 15 pounds of muscle when I was in boot camp,
Wow.
Fortunately I was able, I'm a decent shooter, so I always qualified expert, except for, I think, my third year in, when we all went out the night before partying. But 3 times, I qualified experts. I was always a good shooter. That was never a problem. I can swim, like all the basic stuff. I grew up at the shore, so the swimming stuff was easy. But the physical part was the biggest challenge. I didn't have perhaps as much as that mental challenge that some of the other guys did, because I saw through it early. You know what I mean? I'm like, just play the game and get through. They're trying to make you quit. That's the idea. Certainly in that first phase, they're trying to make you quit.
Sure.
But then, once they figure you're locked in, then it's training, trying to make you the best Marine you can be,
Right.
But yeah, so it was a great experience. 4 years. I mean, it's a blur now, but at the time, a great experience. I got to see a bit of the world. We did a med float. I went to Spain, Portugal, Israel, Africa, France. I'm forgetting something, but got out to different parts of the country. We got to Jacksonville, Florida, and out in the Mojave Desert, and it's all over the place. So it was a lot of fun. I made some good friends that I didn't necessarily stay in touch with, but then Facebook came around, and we reconnected with a few guys, or whatever. So overall, wouldn't trade it for the world, but for the simple reason that it really showed me that if I want something, I can go get it.
I hear you. I jumped ahead a little bit, but I was going to, the second question I always ask, I'll ask it now, and it kind of fits in summarizing this is, I always ask, like, what does live courageously mean to you?
Well, the first instinct that comes up is to think of fearless, but it's not about being fearless. Courage is acting in spite of fear. So to live courageously is, to me, I guess, would be to be bold, take chances, master your fear, or if you can't master it, at least mitigate it so that you can act. Yeah, that's it. Mitigate your fear. Take action despite your fear when it's needed.
I think that's a great way to look at it and sum it up. And then, for yourself, the next phase of your life, like you said, take chances. And your next thing was not your typical journey from a Marine. You get out of the Marines and you go and, you go to the punk rock scene in Lower East Side of Manhattan. That's like, I'm not sure there was a ton of Marines in the punk rock, but they might have been. I don't know.
I never met any.
So tell us about that. Tell us about and music. Obviously, you were into acting when you were younger before you joined the Marines. But what was the music part of it, and why? How did you get involved in going into the punk rock scene in New York?
Yeah, I got my first guitar. My first guitar in 1982 when I graduated grammar school, and I just I played in some bands in high school and stuff, and we even had a couple bands. I even had a couple bands while I was in the Marines. And when I got out, though, I was totally committed to trying to be an actor. But I got to New York, I realized I had no idea what I was doing. So I had started taking some classes and stuff like that. But at that point, I'm just trying to make money and survive. be able to feed myself. So I really didn't know what I was doing. When I met a guy who was putting together a band, and this was 92, and, we were going to bring punk back. And, 'cause this was like when we used to call it mope rock, but, the grunge scene was really, that was everything at the time. And we thought we were going to bring punk back. And, so we put together this little punk outfit and started playing around town. And then shortly after, we had no idea what was already going on out in Orange County, so Green Day and all these other bands, there was kind of a punk scene that already started up and was, ready to hit big. And it did, like 93, I think. So we were kind of a little behind, and nobody was really getting signed out in New York back then. But, we kept at it with some changes in lineup and stuff. But over 10 years, I played, the Lower East Side music scene, and then decided it was time. And I pulled the plug. And, well, I will say this. I don't want to skip this, because I was playing CBGB when I met Dana, my wife. We met at the show I was playing, and we've pretty much been inseparable since then. We're married 25 years in this coming May. So, I got married, and we were having a kid, and I was like, I got to figure out something else to do. I'm beating my head against a wall here. So, everything at that point was to pay for the band, because New York's different than LA. New York, you have to, you have to rent rehearsal space. You can't be rehearsing in your apartment and stuff. So every time you rehearse, it's money out, money out, money out. And we rehearse, 6 hours a week, twice a week, whatever. And then, whatever shows. And when in the beginning, you're not making any money, so you're just bartending in order to pay for your music habit, And the good thing was I never had to pay for a drink, because all the guys in the band were bartenders. So we all just hang out at each other's bars and get it on that way. But after like 10 years of that, I decided that was it. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. My wife had just started her career in advertising, and she's like, "You should try voiceover," And I was like, all right. So I took a series of classes from a fellow by the name of Stuart Dillon, and the final class, he brought in an agent from Abrams Artist Agency to critique our reads, And so everybody read for him, we had a good old time. We went out for drinks afterwards. He gave me his card. He's like, "Hey, come see me at Abrams." And they signed me. So pretty quickly I started working. I landed, my first gig was a radio spot for Volkswagen. And not long after that, I became the voice of Arm & Hammer. And back then, it was good money. It was good money, because it was all Class A play, meaning, it was all like, ABC, NBC, CBS. It would play during Oprah, and like when the housewives are watching their soaps and stuff like that during the day. And so every day was like going to the mailbox was like playing a scratch off ticket. How much am I winning today? And that allowed us to get our first apartment, meaning to buy one, in the West Village, and then just on a financial note, that became our nest egg for everything afterwards, Wow. So kids, get out there and get you something, get you some real estate.
Congrats on your marriage, getting married in New York in 25 years, man. Congrats. That's a great accomplishment, maybe some of the best thing you can do in life. So congrats on that. And, for those, I lived on 4th Street and Avenue A for 2 years. Prior to you, I was there, I was out in LA at 91, but I was there previously. I've been to CBGB's one time in my life, and it was wild. It was really a wild experience. But the Lower East Side was crazy with everything at that time. So it was a wild. Where did you live before you ended up buying your place in the West Village?
Well, I when I first moved to New York, I lived up by Columbia.
Okay.
Morningside Heights, I think it was called.
Yeah, Morningside Heights.
And then I lived all up and down the West Side over my time in Manhattan, 72nd and Columbus. I lived as low as Harrison Street and Hudson, down by the World Trade. And then when I met my wife, we moved in together We lived on Bank Street in West Fourth. And then we
Okay.
bought our first place on Barrow and Hudson. And then we flipped that after my son was born. And we bought our place on Bleecker and West 10th. And then that's when I that's when I heard they were going to do the Pacific for HBO. And I'm like, I'm going to go be an actor. And we sold that. We were only there like 6 months. We sold that and moved to Los Angeles.
But before we move it to the acting piece, I want to throw up a picture of you, but you came out and you still sang, and I know I saw you perform out here as well, music at different things, veterans events and stuff like that. So I got to see one of your bands, I'm sure and I think it was Molly McGuire. I think I saw it was
Molly Malone. Molly Malone.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to host the veteran open mic night.
Right. And I got to see, and that was a fun night. I remember attending that. That was on La Brea or something, if I'm remembering right. But
what's where the Grove is?
Yeah, by the Grove. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I can't remember what street that is.
Exactly.
I've been out of LA, you forget.
Yes, but so then you shift and you come out and you make your commitment to being an actor, and so you move to LA, and here's one thing. I don't know when this fits into your timeline, but this is A Tale of Two Sisters, a play that I guess that you did, and tell us
it's actually a short film.
Okay, my bad.
And it's funny that photo makes my mom cry. Because
does it really?
I looked at, she showed me some pictures of her father when he was around that age. It's identical. I mean, it's wow. Spooky. She's like, wow. It looks like my father. And that's so cool. I enjoyed working on that. I worked on that with Tracy Lords, very talented, and Bruce Davison.
What year did you do that? What was that? Early on?
No, that was within the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember exactly, but maybe 2016, 2017, something like that.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw up a couple of pictures, but then I'm going to also, I want to play a little bit of your acting reel for people, but here's just some of the stuff you did. A picture of you with SEAL Team, then with the Terminal List, which is a great show. We'll talk about that a little bit. New Amsterdam, NCIS. Matter of fact, all of these are cool things. I mean, this I got to throw up because that's a unique picture. But just the acting stuff. Tell us about that. Tell us about the journey. Tell us about what you love about it, and then I want to play one of your reels, or maybe two of them, so people can see some of your acting work.
Well, gosh, it's something I always wanted to do, and to finally make that leap in my mid-30s. To drop everything and move my brand new baby and my wife and sell our apartment in New York and move out to LA kind of sight unseen. It goes back to what I talk about, being bold and taking chances. I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have a partner who absolutely believed in me. You know what I mean? My wife's always been my rock. So, or maybe I would. Maybe if you're a single guy, it's even easier because you just got to worry about yourself. I don't know. But I will say this. It's nice to have that support, not just emotional, but, my wife also works. So, there's always had that support for when times were slow, But yeah, I came out to LA and switched voiceover agency. So I was able to keep doing that. Ended up with William Morris at the time, then it was WME eventually. But threw myself into acting classes. So I was in acting classes 5-6 days a week. And ended up, that was 2004, we moved out there. I ended up getting my first job on, there we go. There I am, I think. Not yet. All right. Anyway, I'll just keep talking, man.
So minute now.
Sarah, there we go. Stupid camera. Anyway, so I threw myself in acting classes, and then I booked my first role on 24. And it was kind of a freak accident. I was working for a military advisory company we do special ability stuff and stuff like that, or we just kind of, on that show, we were keeping all the background actors in line, basically, because it was a big it was supposed to be in the White House or in the bunker under the White House, and so there's a lot of military uniformed personnel around. You basically make sure that background people are keeping their hands out of their pockets, and their ribbons are correct, and all that stuff.
Sure.
But somebody on set got fired. And for a silly reason, it wasn't even anything they did, but so they needed a new actor, and I had been studying. I had a good cold read, and I was already in the union because of my voiceover work. So they took about a dozen of us individually into a room with the director while the cast is waiting on the soundstage, and just had us each read. And then, he came out, he's like, "Thanks everybody. Michael, come with me." They had me as a major. He's like, "Make him a lieutenant colonel." And then they put me in the scene where I'm briefing the president and the Joint Chiefs. And that was my first role. And then, after that, after that, you're able to get auditions because, casting directors don't know how you got the job. They just know that 24 hired you, So, and look, again, they say, what is it? Luck is preparedness meets opportunity, right? So I was in the right place at the right time, but I also had to win that job, and I was prepared to beat the other people out to do it. So then I think my next job was on Jericho, I think, and then the unit, and then the stupid strike happened. But then I came back with Justified, and just started building my career.
Well, it's kind of, interesting what you mentioned a few minutes ago about coming out here, and having your wife to rely on. And, I kind of went on a similar trip. I came out here in 1991 to pursue acting. I was acting back in New York in theater and film. And so I came out by myself, a single guy with $100 in my pocket, and, taking that risk to start all over, create a new life like you did, and just go on that journey. And, and it's that, thing where you take risks that you find, you put in the work, you put in the opportunity, but you got to take the risk. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to get outside of the comfort zones. Because, if you stay in a comfort zone, you never accomplish anything beyond what you want to, it just stays safe, but you don't go anywhere with it. So,
Sure.
So you did it one way, I did it a different way, and it led to me to what I do today as well. So it was one of the best moves I ever made, because I was scared. There's no doubt about it. I was scared, but I did it anyway.
Yep, that's it. Living courageously.
Yes, indeed. So now let's look at one of your for New Amsterdam. I'm going to throw up. We're going to watch this. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw up this reel so we can watch the work on this. Work.
It was a cool character. In that situation, a veteran comes home to bury his mother, and he finds out that his mother had left his family home to the hospital, but there's a question of whether she was mentally competent to do so. So he feels taken advantage of, and it was a powerful little role. And dude, I love playing, portraying my fellow veterans or active duty military or LEO. I've made my, that's how I made my bones. I'm basically playing military or law enforcement. Practically every role I play, I'm carrying a gun. As a matter of fact, the first time I got a role, it was on Criminal Minds, and I'm playing a shortstop in a softball game, right? And I'm like, whoa, finally, like a regular guy, right? Turns out he's Secret Service. So I'm like, I'm still carrying a gun. It's probably just, under my knee sock.
Well, it's they say you can get typecast, but that's a good typecast. It's you play a role. It has a lot of layers to it, and you get a lot of different characters you bring to life, just like with that. And let's jump into another one. I just want to show another one of yours as well, and then we'll talk some more about this.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. Let him through. This asshole's the reason we're out here freezing our ball sacks off. Van Ruiz's file said he turned federal witness. Who the hell was he going to stitch out?
Felipe Lobo's cartel.
Jesus, man, he should have been in WITSEC. Shopping for Wranglers in Bunkbuckistan, Nebraska somewhere.
I did officially everything I could do. You mind?
Be my guest. Tell you what, you better officially pray to whatever God you pissed off this doesn't leak. You'll never see another CI again. Hey, look, you seen enough? I gotta start cleaning up your shit show.
Yeah, I think I got all I need, thanks.
Fucking idiots.
I love that guy. Now that guy didn't have a name. He was just NYPD detective, but man, that's still one of my favorite roles of all time. I got to bring a little bit of that, East Coast, Northeast sensibility. And, that was fun. I got to travel back. I was living in LA. I got to travel back to New York to shoot that. And, what a great role. I really enjoyed that.
That's cool. Well, besides doing all the acting and all the roles that you've done, you also do this as well, which is some acting teaching. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I've actually had to put that on the back burner while I'm signed on to this play right now. But last year I was just donating my time to a group called Creative Vets here in Nashville. And they're in my neighborhood. And I passed by there a few times, and just one day decided to poke my head in there. And they work with veterans, well, any veterans really, but certainly folks are struggling with stress or whatever it is. They come in, they work with them, they help them tell their story, which is such a powerful. My friend Scott Mann calls it an emotional breaching tool. Story, right? But it helps them write songs with like professional Nashville songwriters and stuff like that to tell their story. They also do art, sculpture, stuff like that, photography, but they didn't have anything for acting. So I walked in, I met the founder, Richard Casper, is a Marine. And I said, "Hey man, do you guys do anything for guys that want to learn about acting?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, I'd like to volunteer my time if you'll have me, And so we started once a month, and then twice a month later on, we started just teaching veterans about acting and about, locking eyeballs and trading impulses with your fellow actor. But also about how, I used to say, 'cause a lot of guys and gals, they're dealing with some trauma, and look, I'm not a professional psychologist or anything, and I don't pretend to be, but I know that we all have trauma. It's just a matter of scale, right? And the thing that some of those real deep things that mess you up inside are your greatest fuel as an actor. It feeds the machine. So, and in a positive way, meaning like you get to use it rather than have it use you. So we got into a bit of that with some of the actors, and I like to think that we had a little bit of an impact, help them kind of regulate some of that stuff, but again to feel like they're in charge of it, not the feeling being in charge of them. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I want to get back to that after I'm done with this play run.
Well, let's go to that. Let's go to that play run now, because when we were when I was down in Nashville with my family a couple of months ago, we got a chance to hang out at the hotel. You came by and caught me up on a lot what you were doing. And one of the things you shared with me was this particular play, and you shared some stories about, being nervous about doing it and all the stuff that went along. So let me just throw up a picture. We'll show up some more. It's called Last Out, Elegy of a Green Beret. And then I'll throw up another one of it as well. And so that's from the play. So tell us about this, because tell us how you got involved in it. Tell us what the story is. And there's so much that you told me when I was in Nashville that time, just how powerful it was. And so I'll take it away, man.
Yeah. Well, the play's been around for a few years now. It's written and created by retired Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, who's a Green Beret, multiple tours in Afghanistan, played a big role in getting a lot of those people out after the fall of Afghanistan. This is after he had retired, but this network of Green Berets had gotten together, retired guys, and had really helped get some of our allies and some of our own people out of there. But anyway, he had been touring in the lead role because he had written it. It was his show. For 3 or 4 years, I think. But he was stepping back now to take a larger role in his nonprofit, which is all about healing through storytelling as well. It's called Task Force Pineapple, if anybody wants to look that up. Anyway, so they asked me to audition for the role of Master Sergeant Danny Patton, and that's the lead role. My character doesn't leave the stage for the entirety of the play. And it was a kind of truncated preparation time. So I had to learn, it was like 105 pages, and I had to learn all my dialogue in like a month. So the learning curve was pretty steep. And I think I said to you, John, I was nervous. I haven't been on stage, like doing a play in 30 something years. But if it's scaring you, man, you got to do it. Right. So I jumped in and did it. And we did a few preview shows, one in Tampa at the end of last year, and then in Danville, Kentucky. And we kicked off our 2025 tour at OSU at their beautiful new theater there. And we've got some more shows coming up for the rest of the year. I'm signed on for the 2025 tour. We'll see what happens after that, but I'm signed on at least for this year. And dude, it's a really powerful story that kind of brings to the audience the experience of what multiple tours over many years has on the impact it has on not only the soldier, but the family at home. And it's through the kind of the stories told through the life of this Master Sergeant Danny Patton and his family and his teammates. And it has a powerful effect on the audience. We always have a talk back afterwards, and there are people that have seen the play before and are coming back to see it again. And one fella shared that he was able to talk to his wife about some of what they seen, because it was stuff he didn't know how to put into words before. And she shared that it was great for her story to be seen as well. He agreed, it's hard to tell somebody how hard things are at home when they're away slugging it out, with the bad guy, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people on both sides of that equation, at home and abroad, they carry a lot of this stuff around, and it's, John, from what I understand, it gets heavy. So, like I said, last out, Scott likes to call it his emotional breaching tool. It opens these conversations, not just between spouses, but between civilians and their military counterparts. We have a lot of Gold Star families that come out. There's something in the play it's called the Wall of Honor. It's basically where my character keeps mementos from his time at war, whether it's like the hunk of metal from a convoy they blew up, it was his first kill in Afghanistan, to memorial bracelets, things, guys he's lost, photos, stuff like that. And one other thing that the production does at every stop, we invite Gold Star families to come and put something on the wall. And it's really powerful, man. These people share their stories about their loved one, and then we we incorporate that into the play. And there have been some really just, man, heartbreaking moments. But hey, we that allows us to carry these people with the show forever, until we stop doing it. So that's been really I don't know the word, gratifying, I guess. I feel like I'm doing something meaningful. Look, I love to work, whether it's on your silly sci-fi movie or silly procedural, all that's fake. And this isn't a true story, but it's certainly based on real events, and that affects real people and continues to affect people. So I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Well, I know when you told me, it just sounded so special, because you're right. You love entertaining, you love what you do. At the same time, when you do something that has an impact on people, and this clearly does, whether it's the Ghost Star mothers or just, families or whatever who've experienced this, you're like a ripple. You're that pebble. Your show is that pebble that gets thrown in the water and it ripples out, and it has a positive ripple on people's lives. And that's a blessing when you get a chance to do something like that. Whenever that appears, it's great that you were there to be able to be the one to do it, man. So,
well, hopefully that's the kind of effect it has. I mean, I'm certainly seeing it, with the feedback we get from people, and we have a team that kind of keeps an eye on social media, and they've shared some of the posts that they've picked up, people after seeing the show. And so, yeah, it's having an impact, and it's a positive one. So just glad to be aboard. And I look forward to, hopefully bringing it to whatever city your viewers are at. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, I will always, when you have it, wherever it's anywhere near, I'll share it, of course, on my social media. I'm gonna throw up some of the pictures. There's some great pictures. Whoever took this, the photography on this, but these are just pictures from the show.
Yeah, that's from the show we did at OSU, Ohio State University. Beautiful theater there, and there you go. That's me as Danny Patton, Green Beret.
Yeah, that's a great picture of you, man. That's a really powerful. Here's another one.
Now in the back there, the gentleman who's walking towards the back of the stage there, that's Lenny Bruce. He is a retired Green Beret. He served with Scott Mann. Yeah.
And then a couple more pictures.
Now this gentleman here is Perry Blackburn. Perry, also a Green Beret. He was one of the original horse soldiers that went into Afghanistan immediately after 9/11. Like the movie 12 Strong. He was one of those guys.
Yeah, and that 12 Strong, I got to see the actual documentary that was made about them prior to the fictional movie 12 Strong, or the based on a true story 12 Strong. What a powerful story. And I met some of those guys. I mean, just that their experience was mind-boggling, to be 12 people inside that Afghanistan situation right after 9/11. But this is a powerful play. What's the next city that you have going for this?
I believe the next one, unless they come up with one in between, the next one I believe is St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Okay.
And I think that's at the end of April, I want to say. But like I said, it's not like a traditional play where they plan the tour dates and then you go do it. It's kind of a command performance structure where individuals or groups or organizations will host the play. So basically they'll say, hey, we want to bring Last Out to our community or whatever, and then they'll finance it and we go do it. So I know we've got already in the books, I know we've got St. Cloud, we've got a show or a weekend in Alaska, one in Oahu, Hawaii, one in Poughkeepsie, New York. We're doing Fayetteville, North Carolina, and more keep coming in. More and more people reach out and want to bring us. And then they just got to make sure that we're all available, because all the actors are either veterans. It's a 5-person cast, 4 veterans, and the one woman in the play, Stacy Heisel. She's a real life Green Beret wife, like right now. There's Stacy, and there's Josh Berduo. Josh is a Navy veteran. So and we live all over the place. Josh is I think he just moved from LA. I think he's in New Mexico now, but I'm here in Nashville. Lenny's in Chicago. Perry's in Tampa. So it's like they got to bring us all together, make sure we're all available. But that's the way it runs.
Well, I hope there's a way. I mean, I know there's enough organizations, and you're probably familiar with, you've dealt with all of them out here in LA, but between the American Legion and all the different posts here, it would be great if there was a way for LA to one of those organizations to sponsor and bring you guys in, because obviously I think the audience, the people out here would love it if there was a way to put that together.
Yeah, I'd love to get back out there for sure, man.
Yeah, because it would be powerful, and I just think, it's a great. So I hope that can happen. If I can drop any things to people saying, "Hey, why don't you check this out? Maybe you want to bring this in." I'll do that. Just let me know how to do that.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it happen. Then you do all beyond all this, doing this play. You also have done and continue to do a lot of veteran service stuff that we talked about, in the different organizations that you've worked with, Gallant Few and VME. I'm going to throw up a couple of pictures. This is VME with a lot of people that I know that from VME from a couple years back. Tim Abel is in the picture. Great guy.
Jeff Reeves, Frank. God, what's Frank's? Oh my God, he's going to hate me now. Frank, there's Frank. There's Boone Cutler there on the left.
First names are good.
Frank Sharp, of course. Frank Sharp. Brian Mahoney down in front with me. He's a former Cobra pilot, Army guy. And the big fella on the far right, his name escapes me, but he worked on Benghazi. The 13 hours. And also he's the advisor for Jack Ryan, the Jack Ryan show with John, whatever his name is. See, I can't remember his name either. The guy from The Office, John. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm awful with names. So anyway, a lot of VME guys there. There was good times. I've since kind of stepped away from VME. I kind of ran the gamut there, meaning was on the advisory board, then a board of directors, and then kind of, it's time for some new blood. So I kind of, gave that up. And same with Gallant Few, sat on their board for a couple of years, and then, it's just time for a new blood. So I always try to be of service, though, which is how I ended up walking in the door at Creative Vets there. Not in any official capacity, just as a way to kind of continue to give back.
I hear you. I'm going to just throw up a bunch of other couple pictures that are kind of interesting.
There you go. That was that was a fundraiser for VME that we put together with Gary Sinise when I see his book right up there on your shelf.
Yes, it
there
is.
You go.
He's one of my, I would say, mentors, one of the best people in the film industry that I look up to. For his service and what he does, besides being so talented, just, his heart of service is beyond most people.
Gary has been an inspiration to me, not just as an actor, but as, you got to stay involved. You make time to get involved and to continue to serve, because, that's the way I look at it. I served in a support role while I was in, and I look at it the same way now. I try to serve in that same support role as a veteran, but Gary's been just an invaluable inspiration to me with how much time and effort and just money he gives, And
then he's down in Nashville now too, moving out of California. He's got his Gary Sinise Foundation down there. So a lot of people have moved to Nashville. And so that's, that may become a hub one of these days soon, for filmmaking, hopefully.
We'll see. Not to get too deep into it, but I know that the governor is kind of loath to give up those sweet tax breaks. But
that's a tough battle to overcome. But it'd be nice because there's a lot of creative people that I've met coming down there. I mean, I spoke at the Gideon Film Festival. That was a Christian film festival, and I met a lot of great people. And obviously, getting a chance to hang with you. So, but of course, Nashville is the music. It's country music, and so film is not the first thing for Nashville. It's music.
And look, does it feel like I'm a little bit outside of the old LA vibe? Yeah. But you take the good with the bags. There's a plus side for me.
That's
And,
right.
being out of the biz side a little bit is, fine. But, you gotta choose what you want. And plus, I audition now over self-tape, you don't got to
Right.
really go
No,
in
it's
the
a
office
new
anymore.
way to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk a couple of two more pictures, and then we're gonna gotta finish up and let you kind of sum up all this and where you're going. This is
Cool, man.
a picture with
Hey, Tommy.
yeah.
Tom Tran, he came, he's a comedian and musician. He used to co-host the Veteran Music Nights with me. He came through to do Zanies, which is down the road. Zanies Comedy Club. It's one of the bigger ones in Nashville. And so we went to go see the Preds play that night. I think
Wow.
Tom's on a mission to go to every hockey barn in the NHL. So when he came through to play Zanies, we had to go to the Bridgestone and watch the Preds play.
Fascinating. Yeah, I've seen him perform a couple of times. He has a great act, including being shot, not shot at, shot. And it's funny as hell. And you think if you can make being shot in your helmet fun, he does it. He does a great performance. And
He did a good act.
yeah, and the fact that he is on the radio as a traffic guy, and he makes fun of that being the Asian traffic guy, right? So he
everybody should look up Tom Tran, man. He's very funny.
Indeed.
Dude.
I hope to have him on my podcast in the future. I saw him over at American Legion Post 43 6 or 8 months ago, and I told him hopefully I can get him on one of these days, so he can.
Nice.
But yeah, cool guy. And then just one more picture, and then we're gonna finish this out. This is a picture you with some of your Marine Corps buddies on a hike that I found. So just throwing up some memories for you.
Yeah, man, you did a deep dive, brother.
Yeah, man. Well,
nice.
We need to get into your story because it's once again, it's like you've done so much, we've done so much, and sometimes it's hard to remember all the things when you live that kind of adventurous life. You kind of can't remember all the things you did. People say, yeah, you were over here. I'm like, I was. It's a lot, but that's a good thing. That's a blessing.
That was a big that was a big group of VMEers where we went up to we just hiked up to the Hollywood sign one day. One of the guys, it's not all Marines, but one of the Marines had brought the flag along to the guy to act as a guide on. And yeah, just a bunch of great folks. And we just decided to get together on a weekend and do something fun.
So, well, thank you for all this. As we close this out, any thoughts, any what you're doing next, or just any closing ideas, man?
Well, what am I doing next? Well, right now my focus is on Last Out. There's I wrapped a film called The Militia. I played one of the lead roles in that over the summer, and just went out to Kansas City for a closed cast and crew screening of that. So that's going to be doing the festival circuit for the next year. And then hopefully everybody else will be able to see it in 2026. That was a fun thing, but I'll be, I just got my team looking for more stuff like that, more stuff like that resonates with me and can be a challenge for me. Maybe a role I haven't played before. But just, the gig, John. It's just, you're always just looking for the next one, right? It's always just the next job's just down the road. So
yes, indeed. Well, hey, Michael, it was great seeing you in Nashville. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for sharing. I hope anybody who gets a chance to see Last Out, definitely go see it if it comes to LA, of course, and if I can promote it for you. It's been an honor to know you over all these years. It's just to think we were back at that Navy SEAL base way back. I don't even know how long ago that was.
Dude, thanks for that, man. That was so awesome.
And it was
I totally forgot about that.
It was such a great experience for me because, I mean, once again, you meet all these great people, both the people who went with us, like yourself, and the rest of the people that were part of the tour, but also the Navy SEALs who spoke to us. I just met some phenomenal people, and it was just an honor and a blessing for me to be part of that.
Do you remember that I ran the SEAL obstacle course against Army Hammer? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
That day I ran it against Army Hammer, and God bless, I was like 40, okay, at the time. So I got a pretty good lead on him because, just from my Marine Corps experience, I knew how to negotiate a lot of these obstacles. But then I started getting gassed, man. He caught up to me, and at the end, I think he finally ended up beating me. But I had him at the beginning, boy. I had him like on the wall and all that stuff, and then I just started getting gassed.
Well,
I'm old.
What a cool experience. I got another tour there, a private tour a couple of years ago, and we went and just visited it again. So it kind of brought back all those memories, and I was like, wow, that was a special thing. And Vernon, by bringing all of us, it was very cool of him. But so any closing messages? Otherwise, once again, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I would just say this, John. Thanks for having me on, man. I love the idea of the whole Live Courageously theme, and you just keep doing that, brother. I'll try to keep doing the same, and I'll see you on the next one, brother.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for being part of this, and I'll push it out, and hope we get a lot of people to watch it, man. Best with everything you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you again either in LA or in Nashville.
Thanks, John.
You got it. Well, I hope today's show with Michael Broderick inspired you to live with passion and pursue your dreams, and to be also willing to serve others in life. And if you haven't seen my previous 90 podcasts with some of my amazing, courageous friends sharing their powerful stories of overcoming all odds and going on to live powerful lives, you can watch them on a YouTube channel, Live Courageously, or my website, live-courageously.com. So join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. and in this case, also on Wednesday at 6 p.m. to watch the show. And I encourage you to choose to live courageously and make your life a masterpiece. God bless until we meet again next week.